Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us for a special edition, for our second SLAS special edition of the year. First one we did was in San Diego. We're now in Hamburg for the Helical Brew. I'm joined today by Tim Verweij and Martin Pinzer. Tim with Lab Services was just on the show. For those who haven't seen the episode, be sure to check out Tim's episode, where we talk about all of the important steps of successful laboratory automation. And Martin, welcome. This is your first time on the show.
It is.
How are you doing?
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Yeah, having a good time in Hamburg?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Till late night.
Yes, I think this is last night was the special night. They started with the rooftop party, although I was thinking it was going to be on top of the hotel, but we were still on a rooftop for the molecular devices party, and then I'm sure there were lots of after parties and whatnot. So,
oh, yes.
did you get together with your colleagues, customers?
Yeah, colleagues, customers, also some colleagues from Lab Services.
Okay.
It was a really nice event.
Yeah. So what I thought we'd do today is just have a bit of a conversation around the show here.
Yeah.
This is the first time SLAS has come to Hamburg. My first SLAS Europe, I believe, was the first one in Brussels. Did you go to that one?
No, not that one.
Okay.
No.
It was fun, but I just remember the elevator was a bit small for some of this equipment, so like a liquid handling machine was not able to get into the elevator. I remember anyway, it was a little bit growing pains for figuring out where to put the show, and I think they also went to Barcelona.
Yeah.
That was fun, no doubt, But here, I think in Hamburg, we're so central to the laboratory automation community. Right? I can think of 10 companies already, just on top of my head, that are close by, and so I feel like the attendance is up. From what I've heard, the attendance is up. I think it's a good thing. But I'll start with you, Tim. I mean, tell me, what have you seen on the show floor? What's caught your eye, and also maybe in some of the discussions as well, not just equipment.
Oh yeah, it has been really busy. So we have checked out the booths that were on the show. I really like the new concept for the Blue Cat Bio, the X series, the combi one. I think it's smart to combine the proven technology with the centrifugation and the small robotic arm.
Yeah.
So that's a nice one. It's not new, but you have the Lumina from LiquidMetrix. It was also in San Diego, but for now we partnered up and we have a booth. So we have a small automatic setup here with a Sirdus Flex and a Lumina to be able to show and demonstrate how it works. So that's also really nice to have.
Yeah. And you've done some work with the Blue Cat Bio.
We have integrated it already. Yeah.
Okay. So it's kind of one of the standard devices. I see it right over here on the system.
Yeah,
Sorry, you can't see that.
It's popular in the industry, and I think it's a smart combination to have it. We haven't integrated that one yet, but it's new on the market. But we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's and thinking about the Lumina. Of course, known with Toby and the team there for years, and it's really great to see them now with their own booth as a Fraunhofer spinoff. And, it's really nice, and they've got a nice little demo with the Heron over there, showing both the Sirdus and closed loop with the Lumina.
Yeah, and we have made a backfill protocol.
That's
so
cool.
We will fill with the Sirdus Flex, and then after a certain minute, of course, you get evaporation.
Yeah.
Usually up on the outside. The Lumina reads it, and then that data is already transferred via our software. But then you do the backfill with the Sirdus Flex to be able to dispense the evaporated volumes.
Okay.
It's really cool.
And over to you, Martin. How about yourself?
Yeah, I share the opinion of Tim about the Lumina, but another Fraunhofer spin-off was very nice, I think. The organizer, I don't know if you've seen that. Isolating spheroids in a very small device, and I think that will be a really good addition to solutions for organoid handling.
Yeah, very cool. It's speaking of the Lumina one more time though. It's nice to see devices really taking advantage of the modern technology to be small. Like that is a very tiny device for what it does.
Yeah.
I mean, I know sometimes physics is is an issue, right? If you need an optical path or something inside of a device, it's going to dictate the size. But it is nice when you can do something really compact and small. We were joking a bit. It's like, well, it could be carry-on baggage, maybe. I don't know.
Almost.
You know, easier to take it to the customer that way, right? If you want to give it a try.
No, sure. And you also see that the organoids are also really picking up in the automation industry.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Big time. Organoids, biologics in general. I mean, the cell culture theme is quite strong.
Yeah.
A lot of nuance, of course, as we all know in cell culture. I feel like there's more opinions about how cell culture should be done than any other type of science.
That is true. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not alone in that one because it seems like the biologics, there's so many nuances. And of course, we're growing cells here. It's not just direct chemistry. So it's a little more, things can change just on a very small condition of incubation or CO2 or you name it.
Sterility concepts. Yeah.
That was in my couple of years with Thermo Fisher and working with Cytomat. It was really interesting to see and hear the customer feedback around that space because I had been so focused on robotics and that side of automation, kind of learning about the incubation side. But yeah, organoids. I remember. And speaking of organoids, Molecular Devices has their organoid center in the Bay Area, sort of a showroom. One thing that caught my eye in their booth is there's a new CuPiX. If you saw that, it's very small, like maybe less than a third, I think, size of a normal CuPiX and it doesn't deal with the big trays anymore. It's petri dishes, SBS format. So no more special handling for this gigantic plates and things like that. But and it even has a pipette built in as well, so you can do. I guess it does more, and it's about a third the size. So I guess if you need the volume and the growth area of the Q tray, then you can do that. That's one that caught my eye. Anything else that's any themes that are you're seeing at your company?
Yes, we are staying with cell culture automation. We are very very close in contact with different customers and users of different systems and what we see is that I think the market is a little bit struggling with off-the-shelf solutions for cell culture automation, because it doesn't fit the needs of all the customers in the same way, and they're a little bit limited in selecting individual components, like microscopes or other components, freezers, and so on. So what we believe in Lab Automation Network to team up with companies like Lab Services and others to combine the best fit technologies from different vendors to an overall system. But that requires, I believe, a different approach, not off the shelf, but in the first place, define the requirements, then identify the best technologies, select them for feasibility tests before you make the final decision. Right? To install or purchase a system.
So really giving more options to the customer to, again, these nuanced things, right? Everybody's got a different approach. You need to be a little more adaptive. And so that's what you're finding, that customers are really asking for an adaptive solution.
Yeah, because they want to have the freedom of choice for different technologies from different vendors and not a lock-in. I think that's important, and many vendors adapt to this. They offer standards in connectivity to install or to connect different devices to integrated systems, and I think that's the direction to go because the complexity of solutions in the market will grow.
You can still have off-the-shelf products. The whole combination that is more custom.
Absolutely.
Throughput is different. Biological relevance is of course different. You have suspension. You have adherent. So there's a complete different path you need to take with all of those different measurements.
And it's an area that really, I don't know. You tell me if you agree or not. It's an area I feel like did not get a lot of attention in the last 20 years. There were some solutions you could purchase when I was working for Swiss company, Stoibli, it was my first job. I was actually doing some of the preventative maintenance on the robots for the TAP systems, automation partnerships. Those were later purchased by Sartorius, and the product has basically been phased out. I believe that it's more moved to the Amber platform. But I just felt like there wasn't a lot of things happening in the provider side, the integration side.
Yeah.
There were a lot of things happening behind the closed doors of the end users, but yeah, not so much. So it's great to see that coming.
Yeah, cell
coming up
culture is
strong.
mainly manual work. You have your
Yeah.
automated cell counter. I've done a lot of cell culture work back in my days.
Hmm.
And then you got the selectee, indeed, the lines, and you
Yeah.
saw that the companies were installing those. But when they were phasing out, I was also, I remember at my last job, remembering talking to the guys from Sartorius to have a selectee, and they said, yeah, we already sold the last one, you're stopping it. And then there was really a big gap on the market. Like, what is there then?
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
nothing
What's
there.
next?
So that's really difficult, and yeah, we're trying to get some attention to see how we can help those customers, because
That's
there's really
great.
a big need for it.
Yep.
Yeah, and some of the products I've seen more recently, like I believe Kuhner has done some
Yeah.
work with a nice shaking and incubation
Yeah.
combined platform, so for the sort of this medium volume.
Yeah, they have it for the tube spins, of course.
Yeah.
So it's for the suspension cells, but they also have now the new ones for the SBS plate format with a small robotic door, so that's easier for a robotic gripper to handle. So
Yeah, incubators and centrifuges, two of the sometimes the more complicated robot access applications. And actually, and speaking of, now that I mentioned centrifuges, just switching the topics a little bit, I noticed Helic, they've added a cooling option, it looks like, to their new benchtop device. So typically from Helic, it was always the sort of floor
yeah, for settings.
Rotenta, and which has a lot of capability. I think it's the highest G's in the industry, but it's also one of the biggest. And we had a special set of robot fingers we called the walrus teeth that you could go down inside the bucket, but now you can just access it like a typical centrifuge, which the high G has done for quite a while.
Yeah.
It's quite a popular centrifuge as well. So. Yeah, it's been a really exciting show, and I hear the turnout's been fantastic for SLAS. We don't have the numbers yet, but I feel like you can definitely feel it in the show hall.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Any other topics that's coming up?
Yeah, what I feel is much more important now is mobile collaborative robots to interconnect individual instruments, and also automated workstations. Yeah, so that you can more modularize automation projects, not needing to have these big monolithic systems with huge budgets and timelines and risks. And I think what's going to happen here is mobile cobots with more degrees of freedom, so they could load and unload centrifuges, for example, utilize also instruments that are usually used manually, and then use them overnight over the weekend. And that makes it much more smooth to go into automation.
Yeah.
And let's see what happens with humanoid robots in the future.
These are definitely coming up. There's one because sort of a startup. They don't like it when I use the phrase incubator, but it's really kind of a similar to Fraunhofer in the Bay Area. It's a spin-off generator, if you will, that they're funding with their own venture capital money. But this product, Digit, I don't know if you've seen Digit, the bipedal robot.
Not yet.
Has it has the reverse legs, sort of the Tyrannosaurus Rex size legs,
seen
and
that,
it can run very fast if you want. It can carry a box and run across the room if you want to do that. But it's amazing how compact the sensor package is.
Yes.
It's not. I don't know. You remember the original Atlas robot from Boston Dynamics? It was as big as this, box or a really, really heavy machine. And Digit you can pick it up, and it'll still able to pick up 50 pounds. Or something. I don't know. It could be interesting to see that first photograph of 3 robots and 3 people working around a lab. Would be cool. But yes, the mobile collaborative robots, it's something that at Brooks we were demonstrating at the most recent SLAS, some more mobile platforms. I think, the robot style, I think, will change depending on the application. Like you said, you've got more six-axis options. You've got the Scara kinematic. We're doing a merged version of that, so you have a Scara in the middle, but articulated at the end.
Yes.
Sort of the best of both worlds, and then the mobile robot platforms themselves. Adapting. I think the biggest adaptation for the laboratory most recently is just labs can have chairs and all kinds of things blocking robots, and you really want the robot to be able to turn and articulate with a degree of flexibility that you might not have with a robot that would fit in, let's say, a warehouse, something like that. Have you integrated some mobile platforms?
Yes, we do. With a partner company, United Robotics Group, with the mobile lab. They are very successful in clinical labs already.
Yeah.
And we're now introducing them to analytical labs mainly. Then we plan to do it in cell culture automation as well, and in synthesis and purification.
Synthesis. Oh,
yes.
Interesting. Okay.
That's the Kevin mobile robot.
No, it's the new mobile lab. With the 6-axis articulated arm instead of the Scara.
Yeah, sort of two categories of mobile robot that they're offering. Yeah, this one's got full 6-axis. I think it's like a Rethink or something like that. On the top of it. So it's
so that's the 6-axis. We have with lab services we have Alice. With the Brook Precise Flex, of course.
Yeah.
And then the independent inventory at the back.
And Ellis, that's right. It's got this sort of that modular stack. You can add, I think, some incubation capability.
Yeah, because we would like to have the flexibility also for the customer in our setups. We also have it for the mobile robot. So we have it shallow well, but also deep well, and they can be heated, cooled, shaken, so that even if you bring it from one platform to the other, you have the same conditions.
That's cool.
Yeah, you can keep that conditions.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. Yeah, now that you're adding this length of time and distance going from point A to point B, we are, having that ability to maintain that environment. Because the mobile robot might run into a small delay, and that's the nature of mobile robots. But that's, I think, in general, the workflows can tolerate it. It's just can the plate. So
that's true.
Nice feature.
Yes.
I think robots vary widely. I know there are lab services systems I've seen where the robot doesn't stop. Right.
Yeah.
It literally moves all the time. And then there's other ones, it's, hey, look, we're waiting on other instruments, so the robot's just kind of parked. And I think of the mobile robot as taking on those roles of, well, if the robot's parked, then we can just,
can do other things.
You can have a longer gap. Maybe it's better if those instruments are on one end of the building and those instruments are on the other end of the building. However you want to lay it out. I think LCMS workflows can work. Prep on one area.
And they're also usually sensitive
machines,
so you cannot really move them, or they're prone to the outside environment. So you usually have a room built for it or an AC behind it. If you're gonna move those instruments, it's difficult. So then a mobile robot can be the outcome.
Yeah.
You can still build robotic platforms or other systems at the other side of the hall or other side of the room. Still be able to combine the whole workflow.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing more of those, and hard to believe we'll, not long from now we'll be back in Boston doing this again. Are you coming to the Boston?
Yes, plan to come.
Plan to come. Good. As an exhibitor or attendee?
Not as an exhibitor.
Okay.
Yeah, we will probably apply for a workshop. And be there as an attendee.
Okay.
Yeah.
And of course, I know lab service.
We will have a big booth.
There. Be quite a bit bigger than this one, even. It's one of the bigger booths on the floor these days. Lab services. So good to see that. I think any other things you'd like to share with our community?
Yeah, I think it's really gaining momentum. Lab automation, new technologies. I think it's becoming more and more in more and more labs, different applications. So it's a really exciting time, and we see that here with more exhibitors than the last times in Europe. Of course, not the size. It's the show in San Diego in January, but it's really an exciting time. work in lab automation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's become part of the conversation by default these days, whether it's something small benchtop or a big system. And I feel like, to be competitive at this point, automation has to be fully adopted at all levels in the organizations. It's great. And you see that. I think there's a reflection of that in the organization of the end customers, where you have a whole structure in place for trying to do common platform or, shared engineering services, which, you would see in other parts. And also, like, as you were saying, synthesis is another one, like cell culture. That's often its own area, but it's good to see the automation coming to that.
And many of the big companies are generating or working on their digitalization and automation roadmaps.
Yes.
To have a strategy behind, to also towards making the data AI ready later on, with verification. And these are the important topics now, to make really use of the outcomes of the data that we generate.
Yeah, our most recent series has been with AI thought leaders.
Yeah, I've seen them.
And it's fascinating to hear, even a small incremental application of AI in data handling and data interpretation has had already prolific results. I'm speaking about the research only. I'm not speaking about what the results have yielded in terms of product, right, that's selling out the door. But, I think the ability to have do analysis and generate results and analyze results while at the same time optimizing your experiment vectors. So you're not, as the old saying goes, throwing a lot of paint at a big wall. You can focus on, yes, you do need to do some experimentation. There is waste as part of that, but you can hone in on, okay, we need to work in the smaller frame of data.
Yeah.
And that's a huge difference.
But also reuse data later on under new perspectives.
Cataloging.
Untargeted data generation.
Yep.
And then reuse the data and aggregate data in new ways. That's, I think, important.
We're at the point where you can't clean off the bench and start from scratch every time, I think, right? You really need to leverage everything you've done before to move forward. That's fantastic. Well, thank you for joining us on the Helical Brew.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolute pleasure, and I'm glad we were able to sit down and talk before the show starts. So for those that are in Hamburg, come on down. Long after this is recorded, but anyway, we'll post this up on Helical Brew, and to see more Helical Brew episodes, you can go to youtube.com @Helical Brew. We're also on TikTok, which has been a fun one. We're doing shorts on there. I'm sure we'll get some shorts out of this one, which we'll post as well. And helicalbrew.com for all the other links and podcast subscriptions. So thank you for joining us, and cheers. Auf Wiedersehen from Hamburg.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on the Helical Brew. We're glad to have you with us. For more episodes, please visit our website at helicalbrew.com. That's helicalbrew.com.